Yeah, the KX500 I got. I always wanted a 500 ever since I was little. It was the baddest bike ever made, so I just wanted to have one in my possession. Finally, last year I got to the point where I was like, man, let's maybe buy one of these. Let's see if we can find one. And looked on Craigslist. My buddy Chaz at Trigger Racing helps me out. He was Craigslist guru and was able to find this super pristine 91 500 in Denver, and I just got lucky that so happened Ryan Surratt was coming back from the last round of outdoors, driving back, and I was able to get him to pick it up on his way home, swing through Denver and get it. And I got it, and it was in just immaculate shape right away. So I got really, really lucky on the find. I thought it was something that the guy had redone himself, but after taking it apart piece by piece, it looked like everything was wore evenly. So the bike altogether was probably bought new and then just rode 40-ish hours, and then, you know, it was done. So I was really lucky with having a 27-year-old bike show up in that well of condition, no cracks in the frame or anything crazy like that. Also, I wanted it. Of course, I had to run it by the wife, and I was showing her pictures of it. I was like, I really want to get one of these 500s. She said, ooh, that's cool. I got this retro shoot I want to do. And she showed me a picture of Denny Stevenson's old like 250 I think he had with a chick in a bikini and stuff. So when I got the green light from her to do that, I jumped at the chance. So I bought it right away before she could change her mind. And yeah, and it showed up, and I started taking it apart knowing I was going to do the build with the 450 front end and all the other things, kind of modernize it a little bit. First getting the bike, I wanted to ride it as is, you know, how it came stock first, and then go from there. I'd like to see if I even really needed to change anything. And surprisingly, it was pretty good stock. Like the bikes are really stable right off the bat, which I think is what made it just such a great desert bike over the years. It kind of transitioned to that. So I loved it stock as is, and I almost felt bad about changing it. The biggest thing for me was modernizing it, because I was able to get parts for it easier. The wheel set, I have the 450 wheel set on it. I have my 450 front end with the X-Trig clamps, and then Showa did the forks for me. And the wheel set I got from KSR wheels. It's the Han Hubs DID wheels. I got all that, so it was literally interchangeable with my 450s that I'll be racing. I added the 450 rear brake caliper. To do that, we had to cut a tab off the swing arm and then weld on the new tab for the hanger to slide on. Also had to drill out the axle slots in the swing arm to be able to take the larger 450 rear axle. So I did a lot of running around to machine shops and some friends and guys with mills in their garage and doing some stuff like that to kind of make it work. But the biggest thing, like I said, was to get it so I could have my wheels on my 450 swap over to this thing, and everything was pretty interchangeable. Not always just performance based, just mostly just around that. I was thinking I would gain some performance, like the X-Trig clamps. So stock is like a 23mm offset, and the X-Trig clamps I got are 20s. I was thinking bringing the front end in would help this thing turn a little bit, and the stability on the bike was already so good I wasn't going to hurt that at all. And of course it needed a little flex in the front end, a little bit better traction, a little bit better feel in the hands, especially with all the vibration coming from the giant piston going up and down in the thing. I also had Tom Morgan do the engine. He balanced the crank and everything for me. Tom really hooked it up, and you know, I looked around at guys to do. Mitch at Pro Circuit, you know, went through the engine, through the bottom end for me, made sure everything was kosher. And then, you know, I called around, and I know Tom had done some work on these, and I talked to Tom, and he did some amateur engines for me back in the day, and he said he does like almost one a week. And I was like, that's pretty insane for somebody to get a dinosaur like this bike and be able to work on it that often. So I had Tom do the engine, do his porting, and balance the crank and do all that for me, and sent it back to me, and the thing was just perfect right off the bat. He checked out my carburetor while I was there. He put in his he did a carburetor slide mod on it, put in his jets and everything that was to spec that he thought would be good for it. And I got it back, it was turnkey, it started right up. two-piece clutch cover. Trick Engineering is going to be coming out with one of those soon. Also Doc Wob imports from overseas. Wobbles has had a long relationship with me back in my amateur days, and he imports all these like cool parts for it. The super light titanium kit. He's also going to be coming out with the actual KHI two-piece clutch cover for it. He's got the design, and they're just working on the machining and tooling to get it actually into production. So here pretty soon, a lot of the public will be able to get some of the cool things like that, which is huge, because normally if you're going to change a clutch in it, you got to take off the whole side case, which is really a pain in the butt. Also, I had ICW do the radiators. They welded them up for me, did a little bit of support so I didn't squish them right off the bat with my big knees, and just everybody helping me out. SDG, Jeff Chrisman over at SDG did this really cool transfer with the Kawasaki, the retro Kawasaki logo on the side of the seat, and was able to, you know, stitch up a nice seat. Doc Wob also got these sweet aluminum tanks for it, which is the copy of the 89 KX500 tank, which is, everybody tries to find it online. For 1 year they made this like super small petite tank that would bolt onto the 500 as well, instead of the giant one that goes up higher than the handlebars, and it's a little bit more racy, thinner, and easier to move around with. Doc Wob had the actual KHI designs, and he copied the KHI designs, so this tank is literally what Jeff Ward ran back in the day, like the exact copy of it. So, and that's readily available to the public. And like I said, with all the super light titanium fasteners I got from Doc Wob too, he makes a full kit for the KX500. You can just buy from him, and it comes with you in this nice little like tray, and everything's already sorted out and labeled and perfect for the bike. So yeah, then also I had to get this bike. I wanted to pay as much respect to the original look of it as possible with the 90s themed retro pink and blues everywhere. So I talked to Decor, and they were able to come up with a pretty sweet kit for it, where it still looked good, looked clean, somewhat modern, but it's definitely that retro style that came with the bike back in the day. Yeah, I was really fortunate that I got a KX500, because these things are being they're really popular now and able to get so much stuff for the KX. It's super cool that there's so many people still making things for it. It's a little bit sketchy. No, it's pretty cool. I especially like the 500 because it's not like your average two-stroke. You can kind of lug it around, you know, like you can kind of ride it like a four-stroke, low in the R's, and you don't have to worry about it stalling in a corner. You don't have to rev it to the moon to get it going. It's pretty surprising how little throttle you'll hear me use on it on a Supercross track, how smooth it is. The biggest issue is timing some things. The rhythm sections aren't too bad. Like, you know, doubling and tripling in a rhythm is not too bad. One extra little ding in the RPM, next thing you know, you're going another 40 feet. So as I said, it's super stable, so the whoops, the thing just loves the whoops. And going with that, you can, you know, shift it up into a high gear and keep it low on the RPM, and it tracks right across the whoops just amazingly. So it's different for sure, but it's actually amazing how well this thing actually handles the Supercross track. And originally getting the 500 was a little project for me. I kind of wanted to do myself as much as I can. I'm into projects. I got an old truck, 1954 Chevy pickup that I like to just tinker on, and I got this project as something for me to hang out in the garage with some buddies and tinker with and build up. A lot of the companies helping me out, I needed to give them a little bit more love as well, so it turned into me just tinkering over the next year, building this bike into possibly riding at straight rhythm. So I had to get some suspension built for Supercross to ride it at straight rhythm. So the original plan was just supposed to be for fun, and then it got kind of into a rush build for straight rhythm. Unfortunately at Monster Cup, I ended up breaking my finger pretty badly, and straight rhythm was the weekend after, so I wasn't able to race it there. But now here we are, a couple months after that, ready to ride it on Supercross.
Bye.